Tax season is here, and you may find yourself dealing with some major life changes and could be considering changing tax preparers. For tips for finding someone you can trust with your finances and sensitive personal information, we're turning to the Better Business Bureau of Washington. Logan Hickel with the BBB. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Of course. Thanks for having me on.
Well, Logan, let's start basic. What are the different types of tax preparers people could choose from?
Yeah, so we break it out into 4 buckets. First of all, there's an enrolled agent, or EA, and that EA, they're a tax preparer that has been approved by the IRS to represent taxpayers. They must either have prior qualifying employment with the IRS, or they have to pass an intensive 2-day exam on things like federal taxation and complete a background check. The next level up, we have certified public accountants, or CPAs. These are very common. I think we've all heard the word CPA. And they typically have to have a college degree or the equivalent in work experience. And they're licensed after passing a state professional qualifying exam. And yet the next level up, we have tax attorneys. And these are for these taxpayers looking to either shelter part of their income legally, or for those who need specialized advice on, say, things like municipal bonds, estate planning, and more. And then lastly, we have what's referred to as a non-credentialed tax preparer. And these individuals often work part-time or only during the tax season. However, although these individuals are non-credentialed, they still must have an active preparer tax identification number, or PTIN, through the IRS.
And for all of our King 5 viewers at home, Logan, and they're watching this wondering, how do I know what type of tax preparer is right for me?
Yeah, definitely. So an EA, or that enrolled agent, is a good option if you just have a little bit more complex tax situation than maybe you had out of college. For me personally, this is the first year I'm looking to get actual tax preparer rather than just going to a online service, because my tax situation is just a little bit more complex than back when I was in college. You just want to make sure that no matter which tax preparer you're using, that their area of expertise applies to your personal situation. And it's good to know that an EA typically charges less than that CPA, or certified public accountants, and tax attorneys. But although they charge more, that doesn't mean that you should shy away from using them. CPAs are highly skilled in accounting, and it makes them great candidates for complex tax planning and preparation. If, say, you opened a business, maybe you purchased your first home like myself. And importantly, those tax attorneys, while these preparers, typically they're the most capable, they often charge the highest fee. So you always got to keep that in mind if you're willing to pay that, or if you think your situation needs that taken into account. And then lastly is those non-credentialed tax preparers. They're extremely competent, but without a national license requirement, they may simply be working off of their own research and experience.
And how do you know if you're choosing a legitimate tax preparer?
Yeah, first of all, you need to review their credentials, that tax preparer's credentials. EAs, CPAs, and tax attorneys are all qualified to represent their clients to the IRS. While other preparers, they can help you with forms and basic matters, they cannot represent you in case of an audit. You also need to be wary of these spectacular promises. If a tax preparer promises you larger refunds than the competition without actually knowing your tax situation, you really need to consider that a red flag. When it comes to financial services, you should, as always, it still holds true today, get referrals from friends and families, and you need to think about their availability. I mentioned being audited. If the IRS finds an error in that tax form or decides to perform that audit, will your tax preparer be available to help you with those details? You need to ask that up front. And also, lastly, always ask upfront about those fees.
All right, tax season can be stressful for just about anyone. Logan Hickel with the Better Business Bureau of Washington helping us get through it. Thank you so much for being with us, Logan.
Thank you.